right, we have a really special guest today because I can't talk about this microphone enough. So I have my friend Yuri Lusevanoff from Shure that's gonna talk to us about the new Nexadyne, which I'm really excited about. So Yuri, how are you, man?
Doing great. And yourself?
Excellent, excellent. So you've been holding this one for a while, and you've been wanting to talk publicly. So
I know, right? Can't wait.
yeah. So what can you tell me about the new Nexadyne? So it's not only one mic, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Nexadyne, we're coming out with actually four different options. Um, two wireless capsules and two wired capsules. So the one I'm speaking into right now is the cardioid wired capsule, and the one you're speaking into right now is the wired supercardioid.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. And they do look a little different, so you can tell which one is which. And we also have wireless capsule versions for the same, one cardioid and one supercardioid.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, why would somebody want a super cardioid between a cardioid and a super cardioid? Why?
Oh, great question. So, cardioids tend to have a more natural sound. So, if I'm a singer that is using IAMs, cardioid microphones generally will have a little bit more of a natural tone for me. They're also really, really useful on stage from a practical perspective because if you're using monitors instead of IAMs, and you have a monitor wedge right in front of you, cardioid microphones have excellent rear rejection, so you can put it right in front of that wedge, and you should be okay without getting too much feedback or any feedback at all, really. Where in the case of supercardioid microphones separate. They don't separate, but they pick up a little bit more signal from the front and a little bit less from the side, but allow a tiny bit in the back. So supercardioids are really really good when you want like the maximum isolation on stage, as long as you keep in mind that if you have a wedge right in front of the microphone, you might want to move it to about like 30 degrees off a little bit to the side because that's where the best rejection is in supercardioid.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of microphones in the world. Sure has made
Yes.
a lot of microphones. Why?
hmm
What makes this one so
Oh man.
special?
Now you're gonna get me so excited because I absolutely love this microphone. All right. So a couple of things. Number one, this is our first dynamic microphone since the KSM8, which I have right here, by the way. And so I'm very, very excited about that. Shure has built a 100-year reputation making dynamic microphones, and this is just the next great, awesome microphone that we're making, and I'm just so excited about it. The cool thing about it is that it's a brand new technology. Just like the KSM8 that came before it, we essentially went from scratch and created a brand new microphone technology to make this mic. So I'm going to start with the KSM8 and just kind of walk through the differences, right? So the um, the KSM8 is a dual diaphragm microphone, which means it has one diaphragm that's doing the active work of being the microphone, right? It has a dynamic mic, so it has a coil and a magnet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's another diaphragm in here that's a passive diaphragm that's just moving up and down. It doesn't have any other real active components to it. So two diaphragms, right, that work together. The selling point of the KSM8, like the big deal with the KSM8, is that it has a very good uniform cardioid response, and it limits the amount of proximity effect that you have. So you can be very general with how you approach it from off axis, and it'll still have really good tone. So like awesome dynamic mic for playing guitar and singing or playing piano and singing because you can just kind of wander around it, and it will keep its very nice cardioid pattern no matter what. So this microphone, the Nexadyne, brand new technology. So instead of just having two diaphragms, it has actually two active motors, meaning two diaphragms, two magnets, two coils. There's two actual dynamic microphones inside this one capsule, which is super cool. And what we did with this is that it is it's working together mechanically, it's working together electrically, and it's working together acoustically to do a couple of really cool things. Number one, it has very minimal handling noise. Which is a very big problem for any dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphones, just by definition, have more handling noise than condenser microphones do. And Shure has been an innovator with noise suppression in dynamic microphones since the 57 and 58, actually. But this is a brand new technology to do this. If you look back into like old articles and stuff, the SM58 has something called a pneumatic shock mount. Um, this does not. This is working just with the two capsules to do all of that work instead of having a shock mount built into it.
That was the coolest thing. The first thing I always do when there's a new mic, I remove the grill.
Yeah.
There's always surprises like KSM8. It's beautiful. Like,
Yeah, the KSM8 has a very shiny grill. This one is a little bit more compact, a little less shiny because we had to have both working motors in there nice and tight.
exactly. But one thing I noticed was like there's not mm, the lack of handling noise. And when I open it, I don't see a bunch of shock absorption around it as I would
Mhm.
see with other mics.
Nope.
It's really cool. So you can tell it's all being done, like you said, it's not mechanically, it's all internal.
It's all being done by the two motors, correct? That's the Ravonic technology is that those two motors are working together
Yeah, yeah.
to get it done. Yeah.
Now the one thing that I can say, and I think you and I had the honor of sharing our weekend at Austin City Limits when we were like all guerrilla style putting this microphone in front of engineers and try to get them on stages.
Hmm. Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah, and everybody loved it. And I heard the same thing, and I myself got to use it in a band situation. We actually had super cardio, which was perfect because we had like 4 or 5 singers in the front or something like that. And
Mhm.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say there's a new microphone, just put it there, gave it to our engineer, and everybody had the same thing to say. They could hear themselves, and it's what I heard from every artist that used it at the festival. And
Mhm.
it's the fact that you can hear yourself the same way you hear yourself in real life, which is not something that usually happens when you're singing on a microphone.
Yeah, the way I try to explain it to people without going too technical is that it has a certain clarity about it that you don't expect from a dynamic microphone. In fact, I've talked to a couple of front of house people that work small stages that I give them this microphone. I'm like, hey, it's a new dynamic mic from Shure. They automatically start pre-EQing it and pre-tuning it as if it was like one of the stereotypical dynamic microphones, right? And then they realize how detailed it is and how much clarity it has, and actually have to dial back some of the EQing that they did because it cuts through. Like it just sounds unbelievable. So the amount of EQing that people think they have to do to this microphone is actually much less than what they would expect from a typical dynamic mic.
And very consistent too. I noticed that a lot of engineers would we were taking pictures of EQ curves and everybody was EQing it pretty much the same
Mhm.
across the board, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, Back to the handling noise and the durability of the mic. We saw a guy at the very end of one of the days do ungodly things to his microphone. The microphone was not dry at the end of the set. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes. Yes.
I've talked to the engineer after, and so I'm like, oh yeah, after he took it out of where it was, he beat the cymbal, he threw the whole thing on the ground and laid on the floor with the microphone on the floor while singing. It was an incredible show.
Mhm.
Um, we had to soak the microphone in alcohol almost after. But uh, the thing didn't show. Number one, there was no noise or feedback. You throw a microphone on the ground that way, and you, you the engineer definitely has to keep a finger on the fader. That wasn't a thing,
Mhm.
and it was really hard to notice any damage to the actual microphone, so
Yeah.
it was incredible.
Yeah, so this is actually a similarity that it has with the KSM8 is that it has a hardened grill. So like if when you drop an SM58 or Beta 58 even enough, the grill has a little crumple zone like a car does, right? And that's by design because that helps protect the capsule a little bit. And after a certain amount of use, a certain amount of accidents, whatever, you just replace the grill and you're back to normal, right? So it's kind of like having a bumper on your car or having like a crumple zone in your car to kind of protect what's inside a little bit more with the KSM8 and the Nexadyne specifically, it has a hardened grill, so you're not going to see that damage. It's actually going to work the other direction, where it's going to protect the stuff just by being a hard stop, right? So beat you know the, you can beat it up pretty well, and it's still going to survive a long time. And like Shure has been so good at testing and making sure our stuff hit the public with every single test that we have. Just pass with flying colors, right? And the Nexadyne is no different. Like it goes through all of our heat tests, our cooling tests, our drop tests, our sweat tests, and all that cool stuff. So it should live up to any level of abuse that you would normally see on tour and survive to live another day.
Awesome. And the
Yeah.
price point is amazing. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything for singers not to, I mean, I had a singer years ago that told me I would never share a toothbrush with somebody, but would I share a microphone? So every person that's singing or doing anything with a mic should carry their own mic. They're
Mhm.
gross at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Uh, so, but the price point is very accessible to everybody.
Hmm. Yeah. It's meant to be, relatively affordable. We want people to be able to use it on every stage and not be afraid to use it as we don't want people to baby it. It's not, the $2,000 premium, whatever microphone you want to use in the studio. It's a stage mic. We want people to be able to afford it. We want it on small stages. We want people to love them on medium stages. We want people to love them at festivals, uh, everything in between.
Well, I'm not letting go of mine. I know that for sure. There's that.
Yeah, I've got a couple here that I'm keeping. I'm holding on to for dear life, just because you never know when I'm going to use it.
Awesome. Yuri, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, you're very welcome.